Born with cerebral palsy, he landed a job at a major company with just 3 sentences.
Give me your worst route. Give me the area nobody wants. What have you got to lose? If I can sell it, you're a hero.
The manager's look of doubt turned to one of genuine emotion. This do-or-die declaration won him his first ever sales job. His name was Bill Porter. Soon, Bill knocked on his first door. He was met by the furious barking of a dog, which sent him fleeing in terror. He moved on to the second house, where the husband and wife were too busy arguing with a neighbor over trimming a pine tree to give him the time of day. Bill arrived at the third door. He sincerely pitched his product, only to be met with a cold, firm rejection. Still, Bill walked on, his determination unshaken, and knocked on the next door. But the moment he smiled, his appearance startled a young boy who ran away crying. In the commotion, the family's little dog slipped out the door. Wave after wave of failure washed over him, trying to extinguish the fire of his resolve. Just as he was about to give up, the image of his mother appeared in his mind. Fate had played a cruel joke on him at birth. A medical error left him permanently disabled. But fate also gave him the most precious gift, a mother who never gave up on him. Her voice always echoed in his ears.
Listen, it takes people a wee bit longer to warm up to you. Just be patient. Patient and persistent.
That strength gave him the courage to face the next door. This time, it seemed Lady Luck had finally glanced his way. A kind woman listened to his difficult, halting sales pitch. Without saying much, she quietly pulled out a bill and handed it to him.
Oh, please take it.
I don't need charity. But you need spot remover. Look at your couch. It's appalling.
Later, as he sat exhausted on a park bench, he opened the lunch his mother had packed. This was no ordinary sandwich. Carefully written in ketchup on the bread were 2 words, patience on one side and persistence on the other. He broke into a smile. His mother had seen right through his vulnerability. These weren't just words. They were the strongest fortress for his spirit, built with her love. He ate the lunch filled with love, swallowing all his frustration and defeat. Then he stood up and walked toward the next door. At a high-end apartment building, Bill managed to slip past security and knock on a door. This time, he was met by a wealthy woman with kind eyes. Though his nervousness contorted his face and slurred his speech, the sincerity in his eyes was unmistakable. She listened patiently, and not only placed an order, but also offered him a glass of juice. In that moment, all the bitterness he'd felt was washed away by this sudden sweetness. He had finally made his first sale. On the way home, every step felt as light as if he were flying. Bill took his mother to his favorite restaurant with his first commission, but their joy was shattered by the malice of a guest at the next table, who openly mocked Bill's movements and slurred speech, drawing cruel snickers from others. His mother, suppressing her rage, didn't argue. Instead, she chose to defend her son's dignity with a single, elegant, and powerful action.
Please. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I must be a retard or something.
She calmly took out a beautiful box. Inside was a golden pocket watch, engraved with a small line of text. It was an award his father had received for being Salesman of the Year, 3 years in a row.
He was a very handsome man. And you look just like him.
Her words struck him like lightning, shattering all of his self-pity. He realized he wasn't a person with a disability in need of pity. He was the heir to his father's legacy. This awakening built a fortress of dignity around him for the rest of his life. He used his newfound confidence to solve problems with creativity. To make up for scaring the little boy, he didn't just apologize. He returned with a puppet glove and put on a funny show that made the boy laugh, winning the mother's respect. He used his keen observation skills to win over a greenhouse owner by cleverly persuading the owner's friend to sign a large order. He even protected a family during a sales call, using a white lie to lead away a child who was about to witness his father with another woman. Bill wasn't just selling products, he was winning hearts, and the foundation of it all was his ironclad dignity, his refusal to bow to fate. But life's trials never cease. His mother, who always waited for him in the same spot, started to miss their meetings. He'd come home to find she'd gone to Washington for shoes, a place with no shoe stores. She'd smile and say she was making his favorite lamb chops, only to be thawing chicken. When Bill asked why she didn't call when she got lost, she'd stare blankly and say, "I don't remember the number." In that moment, Bill understood. His mother, the woman who had sheltered him from every storm, was slowly being consumed by Alzheimer's, reverting to a helpless child. He placed her in a nursing home and faced the crushing weight of life alone. Without his mother, he struggled to even tie his own shoes and often survived on just milk. But even then, he repaid the world with the greatest kindness. The bus driver would wait a few extra seconds for him. A hotel maid would help him with his tie. A janitor would kneel down to tie his shoelaces. And in return, Bill would quietly leave a tip in the pocket of each person who helped him, protecting his own sense of dignity. One stormy night, a neighbor offered him a ride, but he stubbornly refused. He trudged through the downpour, step by difficult step, toward his mother's nursing home. When he pushed open the door, he found her neglected and uncared for. His heart sank, a mix of guilt and anger churning inside him. He gritted his teeth and used his meager savings to hire a private aide for her. But soon after, due to the aide's negligence, he found his mother lying on the ground in the backyard in her pajamas. Filled with remorse, he had no choice but to move her to a more expensive professional care facility. When his mother, full of guilt, said, "I'm a burden to you," Bill looked at her and smiled.
Well, now we're even.
For the next 8 years, armed with the patience and persistence his mother gave him, Bill blazed a trail in the sales world, becoming one of his company's top performers. The kind, wealthy woman who gave him his first break became his most loyal customer, always greeting him warmly. But Bill, so absorbed in his work, never noticed the look in her eyes, a deep affection that went beyond that of a customer. He would always leave in a hurry, missing the sadness in her eyes as he walked away. He spun like a relentless top, always pushing forward, but he couldn't outrun the progression of his mother's illness. Her memory faded, and she often mistook him for his long-dead father. To afford his mother's expensive surgery, he had no choice but to arrange a payment plan. When a well-meaning colleague suggested he apply for disability benefits, Bill's pride erupted.
I'm working. I have a job.
I know.
I'm a salesman.
Years of carrying his heavy sample case had severely deformed Bill's spine. His doctor recommended he hire an assistant, and so, Shelley, a warm, funny college student, entered his life like a ray of sunshine. A fleeting, accidental glimpse behind a broken bathroom door stirred something new in Bill's heart. But just as their friendship was deepening, a call from the nursing home brought the devastating news: his mother had passed away. At the funeral, he was emotionless, as if his soul had been pulled from his body. It wasn't until a sales call, when he saw a mother holding a sleeping baby, that the floodgates of his grief finally burst open. Time went on. Bill gathered the courage to subtly confess his feelings to Shelley.
You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Shelley.
Shelley understood his feelings, but the significant age gap and their family-like bond made it impossible for her to reciprocate. She could only smile and pull him onto the dance floor, masking the awkwardness with celebration. On Shelley's graduation day, a young man lifted her high in the air. The joy on their faces was a dagger in Bill's heart. He finally realized that some love stories are destined to be watched from the sidelines. At the annual company awards ceremony, a new manager was questioning why they were keeping an old relic like Bill around. Just then, the host's voice boomed through the hall. "The salesman of the year is Bill Porter." The room erupted. The man, shackled his whole life by cerebral palsy, had written his own legend in the world of business.
I love being a salesman. My father was a salesman. I wish he could be here. And my mother, who taught me patience and persistence, and who would never let me be ashamed. I wish he could be here today.
After the party, he went to visit his first customer, the kind woman. But her son answered the door. He informed Bill that she had passed away. When Bill saw the storage room piled high with years of his products, far more than she could ever use, the devastating truth hit him. All those years, she wasn't just buying cleaning supplies, she was buying her support for him, a quiet, unspoken love. But the tide of progress waits for no one. The internet rose, and door-to-door sales were replaced by phone calls and emails. Bill's office was turned into a storage closet, his product catalog thrown out like trash. He became the last holdout, a man walking against the current of his time. One day, he was hit by a bus. Because he wasn't in a crosswalk, the insurance company would only cover half the cost. He stubbornly refused Shelley's offer to help him fight for the full amount, insisting, "It was my fault." To pay his medical bills, he had to sell his house. When he discovered that Shelley had bought it and was renting it back to him at a lower price, his fierce pride mistook her kindness for pity. He angrily broke off their friendship until Shelley tearfully yelled, "I consider you my friend. Friends are supposed to help each other." Sitting in a diner, Bill watched a man talking to the air on a headset, an office worker typing expertly on a laptop, a commercial for the internet on TV. In that moment, he finally made peace with the world and with himself. His era was truly over. He went back to the office and officially said goodbye to the job he had held for 42 years. Just as Bill was preparing to settle into a quiet life, a middle-aged man knocked on his door. It was the little boy he had accidentally scared so many years ago, now the editor of a newspaper. He wanted to tell Bill's story, to commemorate a tradition that was fading away. The next day, a headline captivated the city. It was only when he disappeared that we noticed he was there. The article was a wake-up call. People realized that the man walking through their neighborhood all those years wasn't just a salesman. He was a vital link, a bearer of local news, a witness to their weddings and funerals, a thread that tied the community's heart together. This was a human touch that no cold call or email could ever replace. The story made the company's executives see the true value of Bill's work. The manager found Bill and hired him back to continue his one-of-a-kind job. In the end, Bill went to Shelley and for the first time let down his wall of dignity and accepted the help of a friend. As he walked his familiar route again, his steps were still unsteady, his back still bent, but the look in his eyes was warmer and more determined than ever. Every door he knocked on was no longer just for a sale, but to deliver the most fundamental thing of all, simple human connection. This is a true story, adapted from the 2002 film Door to Door. The main character, Bill Porter, was a real person. He spent his life showing us that while you can't choose your fate, you can choose to walk your own path of glory with patience and persistence. Thanks for watching. If you were moved by this story and want to discover more powerful films like it, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next video.